Hi, this is Brian from Provision Studios, and today I'd like to talk about mixing and or mastering yourself, your songs yourself, or sending them out to have an outside mix engineer or mastering engineer mix your songs or master your songs. So there's a lot of people that would tell you the if you're recording music in your studio, the only way you can get professional results is by sending it out to have a third party or a fresh set of ears mix and or master your music. So let's look at the pros and cons to that. Let's say you write a song and it's an obscure type of sound, something that is purely unique to your writing style and your vision. To think that some outside source that is not familiar with your music is going to be able to provide you with a mix that is going to satisfy you is ludicrous. That's not to say that they can't get something that's going to sound absolutely stunning and is going to be something that you're going to be very impressed with. The point I'm making is, as a songwriter, as an artist, you are uniquely qualified to know how your song should sound. No one else knows that but you. So there's an approach here that you can look at. That you can say, I feel like based on the style that I like to write in, I am the person who should be making the mix and presenting that to the world, because my vision is only able to be fully realized if I'm the one who's actually mixing my song. Now, if you are not confident in your mixing ability, then I would still stress this. At the very least, you should still be providing, if you are going to send your mixes out or your songs out to be mixed and or mastered by an outside source, I would still say at the very minimum, you should provide a rough mix so that the person that you are hiring to mix in or master your song has an idea of the sound you're going for. And then that will allow them to use their professional abilities to take your rough mix and say, okay, I know the sound they're going for. Let me take their tracks and shape it this way to take their rough mix to the next level. I would say that would be a great way for you to then, when you get the mix back from the source, to compare the two. Okay, here was my rough mix, and here's what they were able to take my rough mix and do with it. And maybe even ask them, what did you do? What were some of the things that you heard in my tracks that made you make these decisions? That'll help you in the future maybe record better, or maybe learn how to mix yourself. The idea is that you're always learning. Every song you are recording, you are learning how to do the next one better. It is a great idea to mix your songs and then send them out to family and friends or peers in the recording industry and have them critique your mixes. This is a great way also to improve each time you're mixing. I am not saying that you should be the one to mix all your songs. I know for me personally, I do all my own mixing and mastering. Only because, again, I am an advocate of no one knows how I want my songs to sound better than me. That's my personal opinion, that's been my mantra since I started. I went to school, Full Sail University, for music production, so I could learn how to mix and master my own music. That's not to say that someone couldn't mix or master my songs better and make them sound better, but in my opinion, no one knows how I want them to sound better than me. So that's how I approach each song that I begin. In my head, between my two ears, there is a vision that I have the minute I pick up my bass, or I pick up a synthesizer, or I hear a loop. I'm already hearing, the minute I hit that note or that chord, I'm already hearing how that's going to sound once it's mixed. And that vision starts from the very first note, from the very first chord. So that journey that I go on is why I went to Full Sail Universities, because I wanted to learn the professional approach to how to get these songs that are in my head out to the world, using the techniques that a professional engineer would use. What are some of the cons to mixing and mastering your music yourself? Well, you can have tunnel vision. You can sort of paint yourself into a corner stylistically because you're not able to hear it in another way. You're not able to hear it in another approach, because you're sort of you're like, okay, this is how I want it to sound. This is the way I'm going to do it, and this is the only way that I'm going to approach it. Someone that is on the outside can hear your mix. You have a completely different perspective. They can sit there and say, "Oh no, that kick doesn't sound right for this style of music. Let's mix it this way." Or, "Oh man, the vocals are not nearly loud enough for what they're what the genre calls for." And a professional mix engineer or mastering engineer can make these changes that you're incapable of making because you're too close to the project. I guess you could say workaround for that is I always give myself space, time, from when I record to when I mix. I'll go and I'll lay down all of my basic tracks. I'll get everything together. I'll start a basic static mix or level mix of getting everything laid in a stereo field, just with volume and panning, and then I stop. I'll go work on something else. I'll work on someone else's project even, and then I'll come back weeks, maybe even months later, open up that session, and then start the actual mix. And in that way, it kind of feels new to me. A lot of times I'll be like, "Oh wow, that's cool what I did there. Oh, I don't remember doing that." That's the exact reason why I do that. Is it sort of gives me a whole new, fresh perspective on something that I had worked on previously. So there are no real right or wrong ways to this. Try it both ways. Do your own mix. Send your stuff out. Ask a friend who maybe a mix engineer. Ask them if they would mix your song. Get it back. Compare the two. See which one you like better. You may realize that based on your experience and maybe the room that you're mixing in, you're incapable of getting a quality mix. That can change. That can change greatly over time as you can continue to grow and progress in your abilities. You will find that your mixes are going to improve. You may never get to where you want to be with your mixes, with your songs, and that's completely fine. That's not to say that you shouldn't try to get to a point where you're doing all your own mixing and or mastering. I want you to get there. I think that everyone should at least give it an effort to do their own mixing and mastering of their material. Your songs deserve it. You wrote it. To me, in my opinion, your songs deserve you taking it all the way to the finish line. That is by no means an indictment towards outside sources that can take your songs and make them sound like they belong on the greatest albums. But I think that you, as the artist and as the songwriter, you should at least make the effort to take your songs from start to finish. That's kind of been my mantra, and why I got into recording from the first place is I'd go out to studios, and I would get with, whether it would be by myself or with a band, and we would record our songs, and then we would start getting mixes back, and I'd be like, "What is that? That's nowhere near like how we wanted this song to sound." And you'd go in the studio and you would sit down with the engineer and you would explain to them, no, this is how we want it to sound. And the experience I would have is they would be like, "Okay, yeah, we can do that." And then the minute you leave, they do it their way again anyway. And that's fine. Again, that's why I went to Full Sail University. That's why I learned how to do it using professional techniques, so that I could say, you know what, I'm just going to do it myself. And I have grown exponentially over the years by taking what I learned from Full Sail and perfecting it, so to speak, to my own tastes and my own methods. Another great aspect here that should not be minimalized or not explored is reference tracks. Go take your songs that you've been growing up your whole life loving, run them through your system in your room on your headphones, memorize how they sound, then start taking your songs and try to hit these reference tracks. Try to hit these monumental masterpieces that has shaped your creativity, and try to hit those as your foundational tracks that you build your mixes from. If you have any questions about what I've discussed here today, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can email me at bbuck822@gmail.com. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. You can leave any questions or comments in the section below this video. I will respond as soon as I can to that. You can go to my studio website, which is www.provisionstudios.com, and that's PROVIZION studios.com. You can look around there and see what I've got going on my website, and you can also leave a comment or a question to me there, and that'll get forwarded to me, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Let's have a discussion about this. Let me know what you guys are doing. Let me know what your approach is. Let me know some of your reference tracks. Let's have a discussion about this and try to open up a full dialogue about what are some of the pros and cons to doing it yourself, and or sending it out to have a third party work on your music. All right? I hope everyone is staying safe, and I hope everyone is going to have a wonderful holiday weekend. I look forward to your responses and your questions. I'll talk to you soon. Have a great time now. Bye-bye.